U.S. stock markets were halted shortly after the opening bell this morning. Investor panic selling kicking in over an almost certain recession. After a sharp 7% dive, circuit breakers on the New York Stock Exchange, the TSX, and the NASDAQ were tripped, suspending trading for 15 minutes. Now, once trading resumed, the sell-off continued, but did manage to avoid tripping the next breaker at 13%. On top of existing fears over the global illness going around, news of Saudi Arabia cutting all caps on oil production was seen as a declaration of an all-out price war on crude oil, and price per barrel was sent tumbling over 25%, the largest single-day drop since the start of the 91 Gulf War. With energy shares sent tumbling and the fear index known as the VIX hitting levels not seen since 2009, economists are describing the carnage as panic selling and telling people not to worry. We'll break that down. Meanwhile, in the cryptocurrency markets with no circuit breakers to halt the pain and around the clock markets, that is, around the block. Aha, very nice. BTC dived 15% over the course of the weekend and this morning, hitting new lows this morning of 7.6 thousand. Ethereum fared even worse, seeing a 20% decline since Friday, along with a general rout of the altcoin markets. Traders are struggling to make sense of the sell-off in digital assets. And of course, many are citing the Plus token scam, which we've covered on this show many times, having sent 13,000 Bitcoin, or about $220 million worth of BTC, through a mixer and presumably onto exchanges. This dump onto markets is further depressing the price during these troubled times. Here at Cracking Cryptocurrency, the same patient methodology that we carry into every trading day has guided us well through this weekend. And today we'll break down the global markets and cryptocurrency and find opportunities where others can only scream 3,000 or to the moon in today's episode of Breaking Bitcoin.
I'm Joseph Abadi from Blockchain Economics, and you're watching Breaking Bitcoin.
Welcome back to Breaking Bitcoin, recorded live in the underground Cracking Cryptocurrency bunker. This is Monday, March 9th, 2020. This is your daily source for market updates, sentiment, and news for traders. I hope everyone watching today on YouTube, Twitch, DLive, Facebook, and of course on Roku with the Investor News Channel app is doing fantastic. Make sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram to stay up to date. And of course, make sure to turn on subscriptions. With notifications, otherwise you're not going to get notified when we go live. And if you have any questions, please drop them in the live chat. The moderators will direct my attention to them in the Q&A section. They are definitely there to help you out. Before we get started today, I want to share some opening thoughts because I am a hopeful guy. You know, I was driving my daughter. Obviously, listen, guys, global markets around the world are in absolute turmoil. VIX at all-time highs, massive sell-off, circuit breakers tripping in traditional exchanges. Bitcoin again hitting 7.6 thousand, Ethereum taking a tumble. Pretty much the entire market, with very few exceptions, just falling completely off of a cliff, leaving long-term hodlers, leaving long-term investors, even leaving traders for the most part, who typically tend to have a bullish bias, kind of scratching their heads, if not peeking into their wallets and feeling a lot of fear, a lot of anxiety. And this is absolutely the type of emotion that we talk about in our three pillars of trading. When we talk about trading, we talk about three core fundamentals that underlie any successful trader or investor. Okay. And this is risk management, which just means position sizing. This is psychological psychological discipline, which just means following rules, and technical strategy, right? These are the three pillars that underlie all things. And as I've said many times, it is risk management and psychological discipline or emotional discipline that underpin a good technical strategy, right? You can have the best technical strategy in the world, but without those former two skills, without those former two elements, you are not going to be a consistently profitable trader. You just simply will not be. I've trained so many people in my years as a trader and as a mentor that I know what to look for. So in times like these, the most important thing is to not allow the malaise of the market infect your thinking, okay? I was driving my daughter to school this morning, and it was raining. It's raining this morning where I am, right? And yesterday was a beautiful sunny day. We set the clocks forward yesterday here in the States, and we are moving into spring, right? It is March. This is the month of my birthday. This is the month that I love, one of the most months that I love in the year. I love to see, again, for you guys who are familiar with me as a long time, what I initially went to college for was entrepreneurial and diversified agriculture. My first company that I started in college was inorganic agriculture and horticulture. So this is what I love. I'm a lifelong gardener. I love nature. I love to see spring. I love to see the flowers bloom. And it was raining this morning, and I took the opportunity to explain to my daughter why rain was a good thing, right? Why? Because she was like, oh, I don't like the rain, blah, blah, blah. And I explained to her that rain is a beautiful thing, especially when it occurs in the month of March or in the month of April, because what it signifies is that the sky is giving the earth water to let the plants grow again and let life bloom anew, okay? Back in the ancient times, winter signified death to our ancient ancestors because it was cold, dark, the sun is moving away, the sun is the earth is the farthest away from the sun, the nights are longer, the days are shorter, it is very cold, it signifies death, the plant life dies from the perspective of the northern hemisphere, of course. And as we move into spring, it signifies life and rebirth. This is the ancient, almost all major religions around the world are based on these concepts of life and rebirth, death and renewal. And moving into spring and seeing the rain this morning was a beautiful thing to see because it signifies to me what I've always believed. And seeing the markets in absolute turmoil really drives this home because it was the best time for you to have an epiphany like this, for you to see those things, for you to understand that above and beyond anything that's happening in the markets, life continues to move right along with the cycle over and over again, right? What falls to the ground rises anew over and over and over again. So despite all the fears around the world about the global illness, despite the fear in the market about, everything just going to zero, even in Bitcoin, I hear people that I've known for a long time being irrationally overcome with fear and talking about how we're going to be seeing 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. And I think that is not going to happen. What I do think is going to happen is that we, humanity, as we always do, will continue to move forward, push past this, break new barriers, break new boundaries, build new things, be awesome, be, silly and misguided and short-sighted and weak and stupid, but also amazing and beautiful and talented and skilled. And we will find people that we love and we will build new things and we will continue to push forward. So despite as bad as it gets, never forget that deep in your heart that regardless of whatever happens now and in the interim and moving forward in the short term, everything will be okay. Everybody will be fine. We'll continue to move along. And no matter how bad things get, there will always be light at the end of the tunnel. And we will always find a way to continue to move forward and still improve our quality of life, have loving relationships, and just generally be awesome. Because that's what humanity does, We run into brick walls, we fall down, we pick ourselves back up, and we keep pushing forward, okay? So, with that being said, remember, guys, we cannot falter, especially what we talk about on this channel. We cannot falter in our quest for financial freedom because those who spot opportunities now, when the entire market is absolutely afraid and panicked, will be the ones who come out in the long run ahead. So you want to be coming out in the long run ahead. So do not be afraid to be looking for those opportunities now. So let's find them together. So let's dive right into the markets here, guys. We've got a lot to break down. Let me make sure everything's pulled up here appropriately. All right, here we go. Let's go. All right, here we are in the live scene. Of course, we've got Bitcoin currently trading over here at 7,784, moving up to the upside a little bit. Ethereum rebounding a little bit to 195.71. XRP trading down at a little bit above 20 cents. EOS diving down below $3 right now, trading at $2.92. Litecoin at 48.87. Binance all the way down from $21 as we closed out on Friday down to $16.28. Cardano, which I am short on, sitting at 517 sats. And Origin Protocol up at about 45.2 cents. All right, so let's start off with Bitcoin as we are wont to do. It is Monday, so we'll start off on the higher time frames and work our way down. Let's go to the monthly time frame. And here we are in the monthly time frame. And again, only have several lines on my chart. You guys know that I am not a lines on the chart type guy. I trust my indicators. I follow my indicators. But let's just simply break down what we were talking about. As we can see, we are having follow through on February's sell-off, which in general, until we got this massive wave of selling and the daily trend broke, where I did short, in general, just looking at candle structure, my initial thought was that we would potentially retrace, right? And I talked about this At the beginning of last week, I talked about what do we need to see moving into the month of March? Well, we need to see March's monthly close above the open of February's sell-off. So that would mean we need to close the monthly candle above 9,339. That has great confluence on the weekly and daily levels with significant levels that need to be broken to kind of reassert the bullish trend. But that's what we need to see right now. We need to close a monthly candle higher than the open of what began this retracement, this current retracement right now. So that level, again, here we are on the Bitstamp chart. That level is going to be 9,339. So let's say a monthly close above 9,340 would be a good sign at this point in time, long-term moving forward. It seems like we're going to have to wait a little bit, most likely a few months to see this happen. I do expect to see some consolidation after the kind of fear has really kicked in here to the markets again. So monthly close above that level would be very important. But again, this does conscribe with the overall narrative, the importance that I had assigned to these levels where we have currently supply stretching between 9,242 and 10,148. So let's call that 9,250 and 10,150. That is an area of supply where potential sellers are waiting to sell. When price moves up here, they will sell. Price moves down to demand, potential buyers buy, and we move up until one of those areas gets broken. And as you can see, we've been trading around in this pretty much for quite a while since we peaked out at the top here, at the local top in Q2 2019, June 2019, excuse me. And then we had this sell-off back down into our current area of demand, stretching from 6,928 to 5,920. And we rebounded back up to test that level of supply, sold off. And where are we headed for right now? Well, we are headed currently for our level of demand again, between 6,928, 5,920. Okay, so these are important levels. Let's take a look at our CC-EMAs here on the monthly time frame. We are coming down to test the 21 monthly exponential moving average, sitting at 7,442. Very likely test, very likely to get a bounce off of that level. That's an important monthly level. However, the more significant level and what I think would represent my downside bottom target here, should we get this low, is going to be the monthly 55, which is sitting at 5,392. Now, again, we've got about a $200 range between 5,392. So I'm going to round that up to 5,400 for the sake of simplicity. And we're going to see that depending on whether we look at the Coinbase chart or the Bitstamp chart, we can actually see that those levels across monthly levels and weekly levels is really 5,400 to 5,600. So I do not expect to see price below those levels. We have the monthly 55 EMA coming in there. We have VPVR support. We also have the weekly 200 simple moving average, which did support price back in December through February of 2018, 2019 as the local market low down at the $33,000 range. Okay, so I do not expect to see price below those levels. You can also see here that the monthly 55 supported price very nicely at those levels as well. But of course, the 200 simple moving average on the weekly was actually a little bit better, a little bit more prescient of those price declines. So should we violate the 21 monthly EMA here, I do expect us to touch the monthly 55, or at least I'm expecting that that is the lowest that price will go. So if we get down into the upper 5,000s, I think that this begins to represent a good stocking up period. And even honestly now, looking at kind of long-term holdings, I do not think that these areas are ridiculous for DCA strategies to begin getting kicked in, right? I do not kind of buy this bearish narrative that we're going to go to 1K, 2K, 3K. Typically, when I start to see things like that, I start to think that the bottom is in, and I'm starting to see that all over Twitter, right? You're just now starting to see the LARPers coming out and talking about how they shorted this movement or how they're, short to the walls now, right now. Almost nobody wants to buy at these prices. It's silly. You always see the same kind of silliness when people talk about stuff that they don't understand. All right, so that's the monthly time frame. Fairly simple right here. Again, looking at VPVR is fairly simple right here. As you guys can see on the monthly time frame, we have that VPVR support sitting at 6412. And again, we don't really have VPVR support down into the 4,000, 3,000 area. But again, we've laid out some narratives here that I think are going to support price in the upper 5,000s should we descend that low. So switching from here to the one thing to note out is here on the monthly time frame, volume is quite low on these monthly candles. So there's a couple ways to interpret that. One way to interpret low volume is that, low volume on retracements are signs, low volume on counter trend movements. So if price is generally moving up, if you see low volume on candles that move down, typically what you're going to hear is that that is a bullish sign because it shows that there's not a lot of volume on these sell-offs. And therefore, this is just a retracement and not a sell-off. And that's fine to think. Obviously, you want to see volume. Volume is one of the most important metrics in the market. Again, if you look at volume, if you wait for a lot of volume on your breakout movements, your probability of hitting your profit targets increases exponentially. And you can avoid chop, you can avoid fake breaks, you can avoid all of these things with a higher degree of statistical likelihood. And you can really make a very profitable strategy if you begin looking at volume. Volume is absolutely important. Volume or volatility, they're two sides of the same coin. Now, having said that, the other way, and I think the more correct way to look at volume, particularly in Bitcoin, is that there is always selling pressure, right? Miners are always mining and miners are always consistently selling. So there's always consistent selling pressure. Bitcoin has this unique capacity with mining where there is consistent selling from miners. And volume, so selling pressure is always there. And volume increases if buyers are buying, right? Typically. Now, of course, more sellers selling means higher volume, more buyers buying means higher buying. But in my experience, when you see volume begin to die off, that indicates that buyers are not stepping in to buy. So far on this monthly candle, I don't see a lot of buying happening. Otherwise, the volume would be much higher. It doesn't matter if price is not necessarily moving up. It just means that buyers are stepping in to really start stocking up in bulk, and they're really not doing that, right? They're really not doing that. The sellers always have their orders moving down. It's when buyers step in and market buy up or set their own unique limit buys that I really think contributes to the increase of volume, and we're not seeing that. So falling volume is always bearish. Falling volume is always bearish, almost always. It's when price moves up and volume starts lowering that we begin to think that this is also bearish. Remember, falling volume is bearish, moving up or moving down. Now, so what do we see on this current monthly candle? And again, we are only 10 days. We're about a third of the way done with March right now. We do see very low volume. So let's see what happens over the rest of the month. See if we can see that buying pressure step in. Alternatively, look at the volume that we can see over here on the November monthly candle, and look at the volume that we can see on the December monthly candle back in 2018. Look at how high that volume is. Not only is that selling pressure, that is buyers stepping in and buying up the dip. Right? We've gone over so much data of institutional investors or large whales accumulating at these prices, buying up the dip, buying your cheap Bitcoin as unsavvy traders were selling off their crypto at the lows, which they should not have done. And we can see that this, the volume represents that, again, this is an area where individuals accumulated. So let's go down to the weekly time frame and we'll get a little bit more granular with these levels. All right, so interesting to note, if we extend the line of the channel, again, you guys know that I'm not a big chart patterns guy, but I just want to bring this up. We were trading in this channel on the weekly and daily timeframes from the descent from our highs back in July of 2019. Obviously, we bottomed down in this area of demand and we skyrocketed up, retested supply, are selling off. One thing that I'm seeing people talk about, one thing that I'm talking about is the retest of this channel. Of course, that's not, we really have... unless we can get price down to about 7,100, we have a couple more weeks where we can potentially get down to 6,957. And since that is going to be the case, if we just continue extending this onwards, if we start saying, well, let's look 2 months to the outside, well, we can see that this channel to the downside is going to correspond with that level of demand quite nicely, right? So again, it starts to make sense to kind of look at this DCA strategy as this long, several month, several week long type of initiative to average down into Bitcoin's price if you are looking to establish a long-term hold. And again, remember that lower shelf price of about 5,400 to 5,600 that we mentioned and talked about. And let's bring up the CC-EMAs here on the weekly time frame to really highlight that. All right, we do have the weekly 200 simple moving average here on the Bitstamp chart coming in at 55.15. Again, right between that 5,400 and right between the 5,600 that we'll see here in just a little bit. And interestingly enough, if we extend the lower, so this is what gets a little concerning right here. If we extend the lower channel out, well, a test of that, it depends on how long it takes to get there. I mean, if we kind of project this out, I'm going to say, well, how long did it take to get? So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, about 12 weeks. So about 3 months until potentially that 200 simple moving average is sitting up around 6,000, 5,900. So if we project this out about 3, and this is not something that I'm really basing any trades off of. I think this is just interesting analysis. But if we project that out about 3 months, then it is, and we can kind of hold these levels stable or have a very slow decline or have some consolidation. I'm sure we'll see a movement to the upside along here. It's not just going to be straight down. There will be a movement to the upside, retests the previous levels here. This all becomes pretty interesting. Now here on the the follow through from that is that here in about 3 months, 3 to 4 months, we can see a confluence between that upper channel line and the 200 simple moving average, which will be really cool to see. Maybe even the monthly 55. Unlikely on the monthly 55. The monthly 55 will still likely be down there. Okay, so interesting levels of confluence there. Now, again, since I'm not a big chart patterns guy, I don't want to put too much stock in that. I want to put more stock in the things that I see have a higher probability of success, such as the 200 SMA, such as the breaking Bitcoin indicator. And we're going to break those down and actually look at how we trade here in a little bit. But I want to point out those important levels. As you can see, last week, we did close below the weekly 55 exponential moving average, a very bearish signal to see. The 1355 moving average cross under, the EMA moving average cross under on the weekly time frame does confirm a bear market. So keep your eyes on that. Again, probably going to take about the same amount of time, about 3 to 4 months to see confirmation of that, depending on how price evolves here. We are currently testing the 100, or be looking to test the 100 simple moving average on the weekly down at 81.38, which is where we did bottom up last time. So this would be kind of a double test of that. Again, not a double test, double bounce, double bottom, double top guy. I don't think that stuff's real. It doesn't have a high probability of success. I've back tested all of this stuff. Just interesting to note for those looking at the charts. All right, so having said that, let's actually get into how we trade. So we'll look at the breaking Bitcoin indicator here on the 30 for the weekly. And unfortunately, guys, we did close the previous weekly candle below the channel of the baseline. And interestingly enough, we had closed the previous weekly candle below as well. Remember, we talked about the potential reversal baseline bounce that actually did set us up for a trade all the way back up to test 92.15. We did end up rejecting from there, and we did close the previous weekly candle at 8,033, and we are currently trading at 77.47, continuing to kind of decline here on the higher timeframes. So not only did we close below the lower channel of the baseline, again, what's interesting here is that traders who took the channel off and just traded the raw baseline, I know that some guys do that, they would have been hedged since here. So getting hedged at 85.28, great move. Obviously, we took the bottom feeder trade and we just re-hedged over the weekend. So now, again, closing the weekly below the weekly baseline. Again, this is unfortunately kind of a no holds barred. One has to be hedged. And on the weekly time frame, one would be looking for at-risk short positions, right? Based on that weekly close. If we look at our indicators here, we can see that we had Wadatar explosion confirmation, not only a red column above both the explosion level and the dead zone filters, but also a rising explosion level, indicating that price is expanding after contraction of the Bollinger Bands. We also are on the current weekly candle getting a full-on Minx short signal and a parallax short confirmation. So again, those who are using we have to understand that there are two systems here. There's the parallax Minx Wadatar system, and then there's the breaking Bitcoin Wadatar system that I utilize. So based on those, one would either be in a positional trade to the short side on the current weekly close, as I am, or on the next weekly close. So and now let's look at our VPVR levels. All right. VPVR levels, what are we interacting with right now? Again, not quite, but right there at the weekly 100 simple moving average, roughly. We do have a high volume node. We have currently traded in between this high volume node here, in between around 8,000, down to this high volume node right around 7,500. Again, we've got a little bit further to really test that and really get some interaction there. And we can see that we, again, do not have support losing that until this high volume node down here that we've talked about, that corresponds with the upper line of that channel, potentially the 200 simple moving average, potentially the monthly 55 exponential moving average. But again, getting down into that area, as always, we don't buy reversals. we look for areas where the market is likely to reverse, and then we wait and buy the trending signal on the daily time frame, because the daily is going to be much more responsive to what we want to do. Because on the weekly time frame, based on the breaking Bitcoin indicator, we do of course want to be fully hedged, and again, potentially in a positional short either this week or at the close of this current week. VPVR equals Bitcoin is dead. Not quite. All right, so now let's get down to the daily, where we do get really juicy and exciting here. Change this back to 60. All right, things that we had talked about last week. And again, very big sell-off coming in from Bitcoin on Sunday. Again, now I want to point out the 4-hour signal that I had talked about Friday to the premium members and Saturday to the premium members. And then we'll look at the daily and we'll kind of break all of this down. So we'll start from the daily and move down here. So obviously we close below the continuation filter here on the daily time frame. That is a signal to hedge. That's also a signal to go short on the daily time frame. So again, we have that rising explosion level confirmation, Minx throwing up that short signal, and of course, Parallax agreeing with the bearish, giving you bearish confirmation. So again, full at-risk shorts on that daily close for those who were not able to catch it earlier. So that's fine. That's what we are in as a group. That's what I am in personally. So hedged and short. This is fairly clear. Again, closing below the continuation filter, Water explosion confirmation for volume and volatility, Minx short signal, and Parallax giving the agreement there as well. Of course, Parallax would have had one short over here on the exact same day that the breaking Bitcoin initiator flipped to the downside. Now, let's go down to the 12-hour and look for earlier potential entries. Again, we would have been out of longs over here on the 12-hour close at I'm looking at my current time frame, which is Central Time. So the 7th of March at 6 a.m. So at the first 12-hour candle of the day, not the daily close, but the opposite one, the contrary one. We close below the continuation filter. Over here, we do close below the baseline and get all these shorting signals: Parallax, Minx, Water explosion, and baseline. Now, we did get a candle size violation, which is a safety feature of the baseline indicator. We can turn that on and we can see no trade right here. So we did get a no trade signal right there, which is fine. That just means a trader would not have taken the 12-hour signal, because that 12-hour close came at the same time as the daily close, which did confirm the trade. So you would have taken the daily signal, not the 12-hour signal. No disagreements there. Now, pardon me. Got to take a sip of this coffee here. Now, on the 4-hour time frame, now the 4-hour caught this beautifully, and this is exactly what I pointed out to the premium members. I talked about this on Friday in my evening analysis, and this is exactly what I pointed out on Saturday. I mean, I laid it out on a platter. I said, watch Water explosion for a confirmed short signal. That's the only thing that one should be watching for. So let's go down to the 4-hour time frame and look what the charts were looking like going into Sunday morning. So here we are at the we're going to be right here. So let's look right around the close on the 7th. This would have been Saturday evening. Again, as you guys can see, we're just weekly consolidating. We closed below the 4-hour baseline. We have Water volume confirmation, but not volatility confirmation. Minx is giving us the short signal. Parallax is agreeing here. And then what occurs right here at 3 o'clock in the morning on the 8th Central Time, right? Rising explosion level confirmation from Water explosion. We get it right here. We have Parallax and Minx confirming the trade, and we are in there, baby. So that is when a short signal should have been put on. And again, that would have got one in for the entirety of this movement. It wasn't until the previous, look at this, wasn't until the last 4-hour candle close that Minx on the 4-hour time frame gives you the take profit short signal. I mean, that's just a beautiful signal right there. On that same candle, we can see actually as a candle earlier that Parallax recovers right here from being oversold, which can be an exit indication. The breaking Bitcoin indicator will not have you out until a 4-hour close above 79.54. But it's when our systems absolutely nail entire movements, it behooves me to point them out. And again, this is a strategy that everyone in the group should be familiar with. This is one I've gone over many times, and the VIP Ask Me Anything. This is one I've talked about. And if there is a desire to make a video specifically for this, I'd be happy to. So, but again, very simple system right here. Again, you can even take out the breaking Bitcoin indicator right here. We'll just look at the baseline right here. We'll just look at the baseline right here. 4-hour signal right there. Boom. Minx short signal, Parallax, Wadatar explosion signal, and all the way down. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful signal here on the 4-hour time frame, catching the entirety of this sell-off. I don't know why that just happened, but Tezos, same thing. Tezos would have got you in earlier, so I don't know why it jumped to Tezos, but there we go. All right, anyways, going to the daily. All right, so breaking down the important levels today. The breaking Bitcoin, the baseline is currently sitting at 91.02. So the daily needs to close back above 91.02. This is going to fit nicely with the gap boys out there talking about the CME gap sitting at around 9100. Yes, CME futures closed on Friday at 9100. That is a big movement that we need to see all the way back up to 9100. I will not discount that. I think that is unlikely to happen at this point in time. I think that the sentiment narrative is too strong, suppressing price to the downside. But should price rally and close the daily above 9102, we will reclaim the daily bullish trend. The breaking Bitcoin initiator is sitting at 93.61, so we need to close above 93.61 to actually take at-risk longs. Wadatar explosion is confirming negative volume delta divergence and rising volatility, confirming short trades. And of course, Minx is quite bearish in the oversold territory, so I do not want to not point that out. And of course, Parallax is confirming bearish activity. It's going to take some work to get Parallax back up and into the green. So the continuation filter is sitting at 88.53. So short trades are invalidated with daily closes above 88.53. Does not mean confirming longs. It means invalidating shorts where one should be flat. So again, as I am hedged, and I'm also short on Bitcoin's movements right now. And we've talked about invalidation on that. Moving forward, Minx crossing above the zero line right now. Parallax going bullish, crossing above the zero line. Wadatar explosion, printing in a green column potentially. And closing above that continuation filter at 88.53. So very simple stuff. We talked about downside targets. We've talked about lower areas right there. So let's keep that all in mind. And looking at the chart right now, again, 4-hour time frame is starting to get us out of our out of your 4-hour short right now. So on the meso time frames, those who are trading a little bit more actively, you're pretty much sitting on the sidelines right now. You are waiting for a continuation signal from Minx in the form of Minx cross unders, or you're waiting for price to close above the continuation filter and then close back down to give you a continuation signal right here. But essentially, individuals are going to be looking for Minx cross unders or renewed Wadatar explosion signal. So overall, for the meso timeframe traders, I think that one should be profit taking right now. I think that one should be looking to be flat, and one should be looking to trade in the direction of the meso timeframe. And those daily and weekly timeframe traders, again, we're holding positions. Price will likely correct over the next day or so, and then continue to move to the downside. Looking at Ethereum, again, as I've said many, many times, daily time frame analysis, even meso time frame analysis on these pairs is going to be quite similar. You can basically pick which one you want to trade. Bitcoin, EOS, XRP, Ethereum, they're going to move it the exact same way. So I'm also short on Ethereum as well. Let's start off with just the daily here, so we can move through the rest of these pairs fairly quickly. We closed below the continuation filter on yesterday's daily close, signaling for hedging and at-risk shorts. Currently trading at 193.76. Again, Wadatar explosion confirming negative volume delta divergence and rising volatility. Minx giving us the short signal, and Parallax confirming the bearish movement as well. Currently on on Ethereum, we need to look for a few things. Minx needs to cross above zero to invalidate shorts. Parallax needs to cross above zero to invalidate shorts. We need to close above the continuation filter at 234.62 to invalidate daily time frame shorts. We need to close above 254, let's say 255 currently, to be looking for at-risk longs. And we need to close, for my system anyways, above 267. Now again, these levels will move down. This is a very large movement to the downside. So just keep in mind that you are not batting with any sort of statistical probability if you're attempting to take reversals at this point in time. You are really putting yourself in a dangerous situation. I do not recommend that you do that. 4-hour time frame, again, very similar to Bitcoin. PTP system absolutely nailed it. Minx, Parallax, Wadatar Explosion baseline absolutely crushed it here. We can see the 4-hour short signal right here. Below the baseline, we get Wadatar Explosion signal. Here's the Minx short signal right here. One could have taken a risky trade without rising explosion level at reduced risk. So one would have actually gotten in up here right around, what was the close of this candle? 231.81. One could have gotten in here on the Coinbase chart. Of course, one would be taking this trade on ByBit or BitMEX or FTX or Binance Margin. That's how we trade. Coinbase, of course, has not launched their margin. Stay tuned. But of course, the full confirmation comes over here on this candle. This is 1, 2, 3 candles after, so fits the N-bar rule, the 3-bar rule that we practice here at Cracking Cryptocurrency, as did the Bitcoin trade. I just wanted to point that out, 3-bar rule. So catching this movement either from here or from up here for those, automating this, setting the alerts that are all available for these indicators. And again, 4-hour Minx giving the take profit short signal here, not giving you as much as Bitcoin because obviously you missed out on a little bit here, but again, catching the lion's share of this movement. So great here. We see, so Minx pretty much has you flat right now. What you're watching for is a continuation signal. So you're waiting for price to close above 204.86 and then close below, or you're waiting for Minx to cross back under, or the initiator that you guys might be using in your personal systems. XRP, similarly quite bearish here. As did Bitcoin and Ethereum, closed below the continuation filter on yesterday's daily close, signaling for at-risk shorts, getting the Wadatar Explosion volume delta divergence confirmation and rising volatility, getting the continuation short signal from Minx, and of course Parallax confirming that bearish movement as well. What we need to see to invalidate shorts is price closing above not 0.2342, so about 23.5 cents. We need to see Minx cross above the zero line. We need to see Parallax cross above the zero line. And XRP here needs to reclaim 25 cents to regain the daily bullish trend, or close above 26 cents to actually give us a long signal. EOS as well, looks like somebody just hit it over the head with a hammer. EOS also closed below the continuation filter, signaling for at-risk shorts and or hedging. We get the Wadatar Explosion, negative volume delta divergence, and rising volatility. Short signal from Minx on the previous daily close. So this is going to be the 1-bar rule right here. Someone could have taken this trade at full risk. And of course, Parallax confirming the descent as well. On the daily, EOS needs to get above $3.61 to invalidate shorts, or Minx needs to cross above the zero line, or Parallax needs to cross above the zero line. We actually need to reclaim $3.78 on EOS to regain the daily bullish trend, and we need to close above $3.98, for my system anyways, to be signaling for new longs. Looking at Mrs. Litecoin, we do continue to tumble here on Mrs. Litecoin being one of the biggest underperformers, as it was one of the biggest performers. But yes, closing below the continuation filter, signaling for at-risk shorts on Litecoin. Litecoin needs to rally, and of course, everything that I said as far as Minx giving the continuation signal short, Wadatar Explosion giving the rising negative volume delta divergence and volatility, and Parallax agreeing. We actually need to close above $59.93, or we need to rally, to invalidate shorts, or Minx crossing zero, or Parallax crossing above zero. And we need to close above $65.55 to regain the bullish trend, and we need to close above $69.34 to be looking for at-risk longs. So we have lost the bullish trend. Of course, we lost that when we closed below the baseline, but BTP traders know that. Binance Bucks. Same thing. BNB needs to get above $20.15 to invalidate shorts, above $21.25 to be bullish, and above $22.32 to get a long trade in. So when CZ says don't bet against BNB, you tell him to go stuff it. Cardano, which I am watching as I am in an active short on Cardano, is looking good. Let's look at the BB indicator here. Again, we got the initial short signal over here on the 26th of February when we closed below the continuation filter. Never closed above it. Let's look at Minx. We got the continuation short signal again on the close of the 7th. That's when I took this trade, this newest trade on Cardano, and getting some nice follow through. I've already hit take profit 1. Stop loss has moved to break even. We need to close above 556 sats to invalidate this trade, or again, Minx, Parallax, and confirming. Above 586, or excuse me, above 581, we've regained the bullish trend on Cardano BTC. And Origin Protocol, I'm actually still long on. So Origin Protocol I've been long on for a little over a week now. So again, climbing to the upside, holding that trade open. OGN USDT on Binance, up about 30%. All right, looking at the major markets today, going to traditionals again. SPY hitting this is insane. The SPY currently trading at 276.53. Let's break the SPY down here, guys. So again, I talked about this on Friday. We ended up closing below the continuation filter. We rallied a little bit. We still closed below. This signaled for a continuation short. I talked about this. Here's the continuation short from Minx. Parallax agreeing. Watertar explosion. Negative volume delta divergence. I called this on Friday. I said this was a continuation short on the SPY. And what does one wake up to if they watch the show and listen? A huge gap to the downside. So SDS. SH, SPXU, all the stuff we've talked about, different inverse leveraged ETFs so that Americans can take advantage of this. Of course, you can be, if you're a non-American, you can be trading the CFD, SPX, whatever CFD tracking the S&P index that you want. This is really bad. So Minx is a little oversold here on the daily. I wouldn't be surprised to see a little bit of a rally here. But and when I say rally, I mean opportunity to reshort. But again, I'll be very consistent here. The SPY needs to close above 299.96 to invalidate shorts at this point in time, or Minx needs to cross above 0, or Parallax needs to cross above 0. We need to get the exits. But the SPY is bearish until we close above 316.82. And I'm not going to be taking a long on the SPY until we're above 321.63. So the SPY is absolutely bearish. I'm not recommending an entry today. You missed your entry, morning open, or, Friday aftermarket was the time to get in, or Friday prior to close, which is how we trade. I called this on Friday. So now you need to kind of wait for your next opportunity. Looking at the QQQ. Again, exact same thing. I talked about the continuation short on Friday here. Again, can't recommend an entry right here. So this is the exact same thing as the SPY, waking up to a beautiful gap to the downside, already hitting the first initial take profit that Quadriga would have signaled. So let's just look at what Quadriga would have signaled for take profits on Friday. First take profit would have been 201.83 and then 195.50. And sitting with a third take profit at 189.63. So again, already smashing those take profits out. 2 of 3, stop loss at break even, which is exactly how I have. Again, this for me was just an SDS trade. I took another SDS trade. iShares Trust. Over here, the IYY playing the Dow. Exact same thing. The Dow actually seeing more of a worse sell-off. Healthcare sector, which rallied after it was announced that Biden got the nomination, or not the nomination, but got a share of the delegates and winning Super Tuesday, basically. So again, the bias here in America is that Biden is going to be going toe-to-toe with Donald Trump. Bernie Sanders is pretty much toast. Turns out that being an angry I won't go into it. Moving on. I'm not trying to get the channel demonetized. All right. So anyways, the XLV, the energy sector, this is the ETF for trading the energy sector of the S&P 500, trading at 92.03. I don't really see any trades here right now. Let's pull open we were following this one pretty closely. Oh, not bottom feeder. Bottom feeder doesn't work on traditional markets. You silly goose. Breaking Bitcoin. All right. Again, not a continuation short. We are getting a continuation short signal on the daily. We're pretty overextended. I don't like that gap, so I'm not going to be recommending a continuation short on XLV. So just take that with a grain of salt. But the nice thing about the breaking Bitcoin system is even with the rally, we can see here, what do? We just got to continue a reversal baseline bounce. We come up right to the tippy top of the baseline. And what do? Bam! Rejected right back down. So at least one would have not been trapped trying to go along the healthcare sector, because I'm going to tell you, CNBC, all of the news was talking about XLV, was talking about the healthcare sector. Like, oh, look how strong this is surging. You should totally go long on this. Don't do that. Put a baseline on your chart. Just don't do that. Gold spot obviously rallying, not having the best day, but coming off a surge for an attempted not a new all-time high, but really attempting to surge for the stars. New high since, what's the last time we put in a higher high? Getting back over here in 2012. So we are on an absolute run on gold spot. So we're on the CFD, looking at the CFD on a Wanda. Again, I talked about longing gold last week. I'll show you guys the specific signal here, so I don't try to talk outside my gluteus maximus here. Again, here is the long signal from Minx, from Parallax. We get Wadatar explosion, volume delta divergence, and rising volatility on the very next candle. Let's go look at Quadriga ATR and look at long targets. And yes, we've already hit long target 1 on gold spot here. Let's see here. That would have been, let me make sure. Let's pull up the data window. I want to be very, very clear here. Take profit 1, 1773. High of today's candle, 1703.282. So hitting take profit 1 on the gold long that I recommended. You could do this on GLD. You could do this on SGOL if you're an American trading ETFs. There's other ways to obviously go long gold as well. I do prefer SGOL. There's other leveraged ways to do such as well. GLD is quite good. But again, SGOL is kind of my very long hold for gold. But CFDs for non-Americans is clearly the best way to do this. ZAO USD, or, whichever way you guys want to trade gold. So stop loss, again, technically, you are out of this trade now because you've hit TP1, prices come down to your entry. So you are sitting on the sidelines now, waiting for another signal. Potentially, one could hold this trade open a little bit longer if one wanted to be a little bit more avant-garde, say, if you wanted about the trade. Looking at the weekly time frame, which I actually think is the better way to trade gold, potentially. Looking here at the weekly time frame, we can see that we do get the bullish long signal from the breaking Bitcoin initiator over here on the 23rd of December, 2019. We get the long signal getting you in for, this huge rally. Here's the consolidation. Here's the beautiful breakout. Breaking Bitcoin indicator catches it perfectly, just as it tells you to not be long here, and you stay out of this. You get right back in when you should, and you are just hitting beautiful, beautiful levels. Looking at Minx, Parallax, and Wadatar explosion, you do get the signal a little bit later. Well, Minx and Wadatar explosion get you in the next week. You get, Parallax confirmation on the next week. So you do miss this rally right here, but Minx, Parallax, and Wadatar explosion get you in for this. So you're doing quite well. Continuation long signal right here as well, getting you some more weekly targets also. So gold spot doing well. I talked about longing gold spot last week. What I did not talk about longing last week, what I said you should not do, was long silver. I don't know if you guys recall that, but this is exactly what I said last week. I said do not long silver right now. I said do not long silver. Unfortunately, it is not moving along with gold, and it has not. So let's pull open silver. Again, is silver above the baseline? You guys all have the ability to throw a baseline on your chart. 60 Hall moving average. Where is that sitting at on silver? It's currently sitting there at 1764. And even as gold was rallying, I said last week, do not long silver. We're not above the baseline. Again, we even get a beautiful reversal baseline short on silver. Now on silver, one should be flat. One should be flat on silver. We talked about the trade. Let's actually break this down. So the recommendations that we've made on silver was the short signal right here on the 27th of February, crashing down for one of the biggest gains, over a 6.22% open to close on silver just in that one day. Again, getting the take profit short signal from Minx on the 4th of March, and then closing above the continuation filter on the next day, the 5th, putting you flat on silver. And you should still be flat on silver, because for a silver trade, you need silver to close above 1764 to be above the baseline, and for any trending indicators that you have telling you to go long to be valid. For my system, we need to close above 1795. Or we need to close below 1688. This is the silver CFD on a Wanda. So again, if you're trading, SIVR or, silver Aberdeen or however you're trading silver, if you're an American. But I think one should be tracking silver spot, the CFD. It's a much better way to trade, much better way to track your price. But of course, always chart the market that you're trading, right? Just look for correlation cross market. So we need to close below 1688 on spot silver here to be signaling for a continuation short. I think Minx will also be agreeing us with that time, because if we look at Minx, we're about to get a cross below static, back into shorting territory, that would be a continuation short signal. So how do I go to? Oh no, I go here. I go here. And I go to live control room. Big Saintsy, thank you for the lemon over on DLive, my friend. Dark Rico, thank you for the lemons. Eth1, Big Saintsy, throwing some ice cream. I see you guys. Much love. Over on Twitch, I want to thank Der Crypto Meister for the 12-month subscription. 1 year of being subscribed to us on Twitch. Thank you so much, my brother. Vormui, thank you for the follow. Solar MKD, thank you for the follow. Beeson, Payday 5713, thank you for the follows over there on Twitch. Nick, thank you so much for the subscription on YouTube as well, my friend. All right, so we talked about silver, talked about gold. Let's move on to, honestly, guys, one of my biggest trades this year. I talked about this last week. I've talked about this for several weeks, actually. And this is crude. This is crude oil. So again, Saudi Arabia basically announcing that they're going to be slashing caps on oil production. And this is all-out war. So again, you guys cannot say, go back, watch last week's videos. I'm not trying to brag here. I'm just trying to tell you guys to be aware of opportunities in the market and to follow things. So this is Bentley crude. This is Bentley crude right now. This is the CFD on Awanda. I don't have words. I don't have words. 30%. 30% today on the CFD. I don't have words. I talked about this last week. You guys can't say that I didn't. This is one of my best trades, most successful trades this year. So let's look at the initial short signal here. Wadatar explosion right here on Bentley crude. Wadatar explosion short signal on Bentley crude right here. We closed at 53,184. Hitting multiple take profits, getting the take profit short signal here, and the continuation short on this candle on Friday's close. Continuation short signal on Friday's close if one would have been positioned. We can see the continuation short from Minx, Wadatar explosion confirmation, Parallax confirmation below the baseline, below the continuation filter. Now, if one would have taken the reversal baseline bounce, played a little bit more avant-garde, even better entry because they would have held their entry from here. But still, who cares about that entry because you just woke up to this, baby. You just woke up to this candle. You entered on Friday, you woke up Monday to this candle. Anybody that says don't hold trades over open the weekend doesn't know what they're talking about, man. Drinks are on me. Drinks are on me. Now, I want to... okay, so for non-Americans, drinks are on me, brother. You just listen. You go down to your local pub. You tell them, hey, man, that dude on YouTube's buying. I got you. All right. Now, this is fine and well for non-Americans, for Euros, for anybody across the world that's non-American. They can obviously just go short Bentley crude, the CFD. But for Americans, how can we get in on this action? Now, listen. Again, I want to be very, very clear here. There's nothing to do right now. If you guys weren't following along last week on getting in on oil, don't do anything right now. If you're holding oil, don't panic dump it. Price is going to rebound. Things are going to happen. There's going to be a lot of volatility. You're going to see the same thing. It's going to act like the S&P 500. S&P 500 acting like a spoiled toddler who didn't get his nap or his milk, right? So that's what's happening. But here is DRIP, D-R-I-P. Okay, this is a 3X inverse ETF to speculate on oil, basically oil futures, right, in the oil market. And again, let's look at DRIP. This is the ETF, very easy to get. You can get this on Robinhood. You can get this on WeBull, by the way. You can get this on Charles Schwab. You can get this on any broker that you guys want, TD Ameritrade, Thinkorswim, whatever, doesn't matter. So let's look at DRIP, the ETF, here on the daily time frame. Again, where is the initial long signal? Okay, we close above and get the breaking Bitcoin initial long signal here on the 24th of February. We also get Water explosion, volume, positive volume delta right there. We get Minx crossing above on that very same candle. And we get parallax confirmation. And we get a take profit long signal right here. And again, I just want to point this out, guys. So let's be very clear about this. Here's the initial long signal. All right, you get to ride all this up and you get told to take profit on this candle. Okay, great trade. That's a good trade, right? That's a normal trade, right? We get long here and we exit here for 41% profit on DRIP. Again, this is a 3x ETF, right? Remember that one position sizing. And then over here on Friday's close, continuation long signal. Continuation long signal. And who cares if you got out here and that you missed out on some of this? Because you woke up again to this. Even right now, you are looking at this. So again, take profit, guys. Take profit. Trade's done. I'm already out. Take profit. Best trade of the year. All right, now moving right along. So we'll guys I'll keep you guys updated on that and let you know for the next opportunity. All right. Oh, and by the way, just looking at Forex markets right now. So I couldn't help but notice I got about 15 messages last night when the CFD markets opened up on Wanda, when the Forex markets opened up. And I mean, you just pretty much pick any pair. And, you guys will know the candles that I'm talking about, right? We're going to take the breaking Bitcoin indicator off. Just look. It's going to be this candle right here, right? It's going to be this candle right here. Look at, we're just gonna go through Forex pairs, right? So Forex got a little taste of cryptocurrency volatility, right? So any Forex trader, seriously, like I got calls from my Forex trading friends that were like, "Oh, this is awesome," or "I'm bankrupt." All right, this seems to be the two main things. Aussie Kiwi. All right, does seem like the internet's going to be very slow right now. Aussie Kiwi, look at this Darth Maul candle. Central banks and big banks not screwing around right now. They are letting you know that Forex is their playground and you are just a visitor. You're just a speculator. The Aussie CAD. The Kiwis and the Aussies seem to be the worst. Look at this. You don't see this most of the time in Forex. This is ridiculous, right? And again, I get it. A lot of anger. See, the CAD pairs aren't too bad. The more stable currencies aren't too bad. But you even see, even the yen holds up pretty well. Euro pairs also not too bad. Depends on what they're trading against. The Euro Aussie here, look at that wick. I mean, just smoking people, liquidating accounts left and right. So guys, don't just think it's over here in cryptocurrency land. We're getting hosed, all right? The Kiwi dollar. This is responsible. We're talking about a 4% movement in a Forex currency pair in less than 4 hours. I mean, this is responsible for some divorces today. And interestingly enough, one of the pairs holding up the best is the dollar won. The Kiwi and the Aussie seeming to be hit the hardest as investors panic dump, try to flee into stable currencies. And what do we see? The market kind of rebounding. So we'll be watching closely for not reversals, but for new trades this afternoon as we look at the Forex markets. All right, so with that being said, guys, we've covered the breadth of the market. We've talked about a whole lot. Obviously, a massively red day in altcoin land. So not really anything there, just riding continuation shorts potentially that we would have had open since Friday or over the weekend. Looking at crypto inflows and outflows. We do have, I want to refresh this. This is coming to us from Token Analyst. This was a little bit differently earlier, but again, this was actually 39% earlier, but things are leveling out now. But $173.88 million worth of Bitcoin flowing into Bitfinex over the last 24 hours, only 3.44% flowing out. This is a pretty bearish sign, unless, of course, individuals are stepping into long. One would have to look at the BTC USD longs on Bitfinex to figure that out. And again, one should note, yesterday when I looked at the margin positions on Bitfinex, 81% of Bitfinex was short. Again, OKEX, we can see it similarly over here. 98 million flowing in, an increase of 4.79 million. BTC on Binance is 97, although we are, interestingly enough, so this is different from this morning when I first checked, because we are starting to see more crypto flow out of the exchanges, more Bitcoin anyways, flow out of the exchanges than in. This was obviously drastically skewed to the other side as Bitcoin's flowing in, possibly to open up long positions on leveraged exchanges. Looking at vcdepth.io, looking at bids and asks right here. Let's give this a refresh. Asks have been on the decline today. Volume's been on the decline today. Market cap taking a slight little rebound, basically off of that movement to the downside. I don't see anything really important here. This is not incredibly bullish in my opinion. Overall, open interest continues to fall. We can see confirmation of that over here on ScalpX Index. Look at open interest continue to fall, continue to fall, continue to fall. Just not a lot. And look at the lowered volume. Individuals are just not really stepping in to buy up this movement, this dip to the downside. They're just not. CoinFarm.online leaderboard is largely short. Open margin position. Again, this is individuals who are reporting their positions over here on BitMEX, predominantly short, 58.22%, 41.78% to the long side. Looking at the main page right here, we can see that on BitMEX, 53.22% short to 46.78% long. Again, predominantly and overwhelmingly short. Bitfinex has taken a small stab down. Bitfinex was at 80% short last night. Is it now at 75%? That's over the last 24 hours. And over the last 1 hour, again, over the last 1 hour, we do see long stepping in dominance here just a little bit on Binance, ByBit, and Bitfinex. OKEX and BitMEX still biased to the downside over the last 1 hour. So we've got some great news to cover today. We're going to take a small 1-minute break. This is the time to go stretch your legs, get some coffee, smoke a cigarette, grab a flapjack, pancake, waffle, cigar, whatever you like to do. Load up those vape pens, and we're going to cover today's breaking news in today's cryptocurrency segment. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back, guys. Also, of course, if you guys enjoy the content, make sure to press the like button. We do highly appreciate that. If you're on YouTube, make sure to subscribe with the bell icon, all notifications. Otherwise, you won't be notified when we go live. So make sure to turn on all notifications. If you're watching us on Twitch or DLive, make sure to give us a follow or consider subscribing to the channel if you'd like to support the channel. And obviously, links are in the description down below for anything you could possibly need in life. We'll be right back, guys. Don't go anywhere. All right, guys. 1 second here. Boom. Now, our first story of the day is going to be just basically a sum up of everything that is currently happening. Now, while Italy announced a lockdown of cities totaling 16 million people and Saudi Arabia opening the firing shot in the price war on crude oil, we are seeing nearly everything crash, from the stock market to energy shares to treasury bonds, yields hitting rock bottoms, and even crypto and gold being sold into today. Now, panic selling kicked in after the opening bell this morning, and it even triggered circuit breakers on markets like the New York Stock Exchange, the TSX, and NASDAQ. Now, Peter Cardillo, he's the chief market economist at Spartan Capital in New York, said that this is basically panic selling. There's a lot of fear in the market, and it's an indication that a global recession is not far away. And with the U.S. Treasury 10-year note hitting as low as 0.32% this Monday, this really does suggest that investors are looking for the absolute safest place to put their money. Saying, quote, "The lower it does go, the more people are likely to panic even further," said Rick Meckler. He's a partner with Cherry Lane Investments in New Jersey. The more it goes down, the more people will be nervous about it. Even Michael Arone, he's the chief investment strategist for State Street Global Advisors, described the current situation as no one has an information advantage when it comes to the global pandemic. As a result, the path that investors are taking is to take risk off the table, regroup, and reevaluate when more clarity becomes available. So again, with all of that occurring, we need to start looking for, obviously, so when situations like this occur, people are going to look for where to point the finger. Well, it was the big banks. It was this, it was that. And for traders, in the world of cryptocurrency, for traders and hodlers alike wondering what was behind Bitcoin's sudden dump that sent it crashing below $8,000 support, what happened to the store of value narrative? What happened to the safe haven asset narrative? Well, we do have on-chain data that many are looking at today suggesting that the infamous Plus token scam, moving another batch of their ill-gotten Bitcoin to the market to sell off, certainly might have precipitated and helped the event along. Now, obviously, we've covered the Plus token scandal a bunch. This is the largest Bitcoin scandal that's ever occurred. Participants in the $2.9 billion scheme appear to again be shedding their Bitcoin bags at a vulnerable time in the market. Over here on Twitter, user @Ergo, who is known for closely tracking the on-chain activities of the Plus token bag holders, observed about 13,000 Bitcoin, or roughly $210 million worth, entering crypto mixers. Now, according to Ergo, the tokens are being mixed to hide their traceability, and 2 feeder addresses have been identified. Right here, which I have on the screen, which dumped their balances into mixers on March 5th. He says, quote, "I've been looking and theorizing about this for months, and I can't see a scenario where the coins aren't being sold, at least to some degree," he summarized. "This was likely obvious to the exchanges starting in September. The accounts would have been frozen then." Now, what Ergo is referring to is the last major period of selling activity by the Plus token group back in August of last year, where they dumped on the market at the top of the 2019 bull market. Now, the exchange accounts used by the Plus token dumpers were likely eventually identified and frozen by exchanges. So now it seems the Plus token sellers have returned with new exchange accounts, running through another batch of Bitcoin through the mixers quietly and pouring on these selling pressures quickly in effort to sell and exit before action can be taken. Now, if it's of any consolation, Ergo did note that the Plus token sell-offs are now occurring at a much slower rate compared to earlier dumping rounds. Saying, quote, "They are slamming the market with sell orders. Essentially, we have a giant whale unloading after every move up," Twitter analyst Kevin Svensson tweeted on Sunday. So with 24-hour losses for Bitcoin investors totaling 9% at the current time of recording, does the Plus token explanation make you feel any better? Are you pleased to know that they will eventually run out of Bitcoin to dump? And would you now look at this as a buying opportunity? Or is this just, a camel that's going to break the straw that's going to break the camel's back, and we are going to see significantly lower prices? Again, please let me know in the comments section down below any of your thoughts on anything that we covered today. Now, moving on to more recent news, a follow-up to our story late last week on how the hold on. Let me jump over. I got the wrong thing up on the screen right now. Here we go. Follow up on our coverage last week on how the investment firm Elliott Management and its billionaire CEO Paul Singer were out for Jack Dorsey's head as CEO of the social media network Twitter. Well, it does seem that the management firm has made a deal with Twitter, which will preserve Jack Dorsey's role as CEO of Twitter. With the closing of the new deal, it includes a $2 billion share buyback. Elliott Management will gain a seat on Twitter's board of directors, along with Silver Lake Equity also getting a seat on the board, as the new agreement includes a $1 billion investment by that private equity firm as well. Furthermore, Twitter's board of directors will also continue to look to adding a third new board member. Now, commenting on the deal, Dorsey ostensibly said that Silver Lake's investment in Twitter is a strong vote of confidence in our work and our path forward. They are one of the most respected voices in technology and finance, and we are fortunate to have them as our new partner and as a member of our board, said the freshly minted Jack Dorsey. Now, as we described in last week's story, behind the move to can Dorsey at Twitter was a concern over the timely splits between two $5 billion plus companies, Twitter and crypto payment firm Square. Following news of Dorsey potentially being outed from Twitter, many voices in the crypto industry, including Vitalik Buterin, came forward voicing their support of Dorsey remaining CEO. Even Tesla CEO Elon Musk, who is also known for his active endorsement of crypto, did not want Dorsey to step down from his position at Twitter. Buterin specifically questioned the competence of a new potential CEO that would replace Dorsey, saying, quote, "I also stand with Jack, hashtag stand with Jack. Twitter certainly has flaws, but @Jack has done a vastly better job than what I expect or feared from a hedge fund appointed CEO swooping in to replace him." So let me know how you guys feel about this. If you guys feel that this is a good thing, if you guys feel this is a bad thing. Of course, we've kind of talked about the benefit that this might give to the cryptocurrency markets if Jack were to spend more time on Square, if he were to prioritize integrating Lightning into Square, all of these things that all of these things that could be positive for the cryptocurrency space, having somebody as vocal and public as an advocate as Jack Dorsey working more in cryptocurrency, but of course, maintaining his role as CEO of Twitter and kind of having to bow a little bit to the Wall Street overlords here a little bit. But if you are disappointed that Dorsey might be staying at Twitter and not focusing on development at Square, well, there is good news for the crypto community. Square, the digital assets focused subsidiary of the Square and the Cash App, has announced it's awarding 2 grants in an effort to support the Bitcoin community. Now, one grant will go to Bitcoin core developer John Adek and Tancred Hasse, an interface-focused Bitcoin developer. Now, these grants are going to support the developers to work in their own way. Atak will continue his work on Bitcoin Core. Hase plans to simplify self-custody of small Bitcoin amounts by building a public key server that allows people to send the smallest unit of Bitcoin Satoshis via a text message. He also plans to develop a module that supports the Lightning Network. So very cool progress coming out of Bitcoin Core. And I'm very glad to see Square funding Bitcoin development. This is a very good thing. Development does not get done without money. Now, after experiencing, we have to talk about Robinhood, guys. We have to talk about Robinhood. Again, as somebody that has funds on Robinhood, as somebody that has talked about Robinhood, as somebody that has recommended Robinhood, it is incumbent upon me to talk about, of course, one of the biggest things that they've been talking about over on Wall Street Bets and in traditional stock trading, which is Robinhood's outages, right? So again, I didn't really talk about this before. I largely gave them a pass. But I just can't afford to do that now. Now, after experiencing a major outage last week, the popular consumer app for trading stocks and even crypto, Robinhood, had another technical failure again today. Robinhood encountered the issue early this Monday afternoon and suspended all trading services. According to a tweet by their support team, the trading is currently down on Robinhood and we're investigating the issue. We're focused on getting back up and running as soon as possible, and we'll update the status page with the latest. It's since been restored with a little over an hour of downtime. However, many are noting that this is the second Monday in a row where Robinhood has gone down amidst a morning market sell-off at market open. Now, it's important to note that Robinhood's customer agreement says that, of course, the firm is not responsible for temporary interruptions, and many are left wondering why these system faults coincide with volatile market conditions. Of course, having said that, however, I cannot afford to give Robinhood a second pass here. So based on this, again, I've done quite a bit of research into this. This is not the leap year bug, as everybody said that it did. This is simply them apparently cutting corners on how they've developed their, their server, their DNS, basically crashing the system when too many people try to participate. There is absolutely no excuse for them to not have this fixed at this point in time. So I am personally, I've already made the decision. I'm going to be moving 50% of my funds off of Robinhood this week onto WeBull. So I've done a lot of research on the WeBull. I'm going to be moving the other 50% off of Robinhood onto my brokerage, Charles Schwab. Now, Charles Schwab will cover the transaction fee, as will WeBull, especially if you hit them up and say, hey, Charles Schwab is over here, is going to allow me to do a $75 going to cover the $75 fee to transfer my brokerage account from Robinhood to Charles Schwab. You guys should totally give me the same deal. If you hit WeBull up and ask them to do that, they'll do the same thing. If you guys are interested, when you sign up for WeBull, you get 2 free stocks. There's a link down in the description if you guys want to take advantage of that. But I've already made that decision. Again, I've largely given Robinhood a pass on this, but I'm not going to give them a second pass. There is no excuse for them not having this fixed. This has cost a lot of my friends a lot of money. Hasn't cost me any money because I don't really actively trade on Robinhood. I just hold some of my dividend stocks on there. But again, not going to be doing business at this point in time with a company that doesn't have their development prioritized. So WeBull didn't have these problems. Charles Schwab didn't have these problems. TD Ameritrade, again, these TD Ameritrade had like 15 minutes of downtime and then was right back up. And this is just kind of the difference that you get when you cut corners in development. You have these issues, and I'm not going to allow somebody cutting corners on me to, cutting corners on development to influence my finances or anybody that watches the show. So until Robinhood has these issues fully fixed, I'm going to be moving off of Robinhood, 50% to WeBull, link in the description, 50% to Charles Schwab. No such link. You guys can just go sign up with Charles Schwab. All right. Now, the last story that we're going to cover today. Actually, we'll save this for tomorrow. So tomorrow we're going to be talking about, we talked about this a lot, but we're going to be talking about China's pending Bitcoin mining catastrophe. We talked about this a lot in the upcoming weeks. We're actually going to put together some better analysis and bring this to you guys tomorrow. So we're going to cover this tomorrow in tomorrow's episode. So with that being said, we just covered a whole lot today. Again, let us know in the comment section down below what you've learned. And if you guys have any questions or comments or remarks on anything that we've covered, again, I always like to see what you guys have learned and what you guys think about what we've covered. Again, what do you guys think about Robinhood? Should I give them more of a pass? Definitely not going to, but again, I'd be interested to hear your opinions. And if Robinhood's outages have personally affected you, I'd like to hear that as well. So with that being said, by the way, thank you so much for the subscription on YouTube, Superblog DZ. Highly appreciated, my friend. We're going to go to the question and answer segment of today's show and begin wrapping up as we start heading for the door, checking back in with the markets over here. All right, so I don't see anybody that submitted any significant questions. So I am going to do a couple things here. First off, we're going to open up this chest on DLive. Yes, you know what time it is, brother. Let me see if I can't just scroll up. Big winners today over on DLive. Squeaky Tadpole, F1, Ricky T, Big Saintsy, and the underscore 178. Thank you guys for all the support. DePie Guy asked, what website is that where I can view the shorts and longs? Well, first off, I think the one you're talking about is coinfarm.online. Then, of course, there is ScalpX Index. We also have vcdepth.io and tokenanalyst.io. Good websites to follow. Look at the Forex calendar today, see what we got coming up. Not a whole lot this week. We've got GBP. We've got Britain releasing the annual budget. USD doing core CPI. I don't really care about that. The main refinancing rate and the monetary policy statement. That's going to matter. And the ECB press conference. That's going to matter. So, be wary trading euros moving into Wednesday evening. Other than that, not too concerned. Not too concerned with any of this stuff, except for pound trades moving into Tuesday. So I'd avoid pound trades moving into Tuesday, and I would avoid euro trades moving into Wednesday evening. Other than that, I stayed out of the markets on Friday. So all this market vol, I closed all my profitable trades on Friday. So I'm flat on Forex, and I'll be looking today to open up new positions. Is there some sort of an N95 stock I can buy? Buy 3M. Buy 3M. Let's go look at 3M. MMM. This is one of my long-term holds. It's part of my dividend portfolio. See how we're doing. Not too good on the daily. Good time to buy. Let's look at the weekly. Well, sales of masks are not helping out so much. But again, 3MM, MMM is, I think, great company. Long-term addition to my portfolio. I've been investing in 3M for the last 10 years. Absolutely love them as a company. And again, when it comes to my dividend stocks, I view dips as opportunities to buy. Dollar cost averaging is the best way to build a long-term portfolio. It always has been. It always will be. Andrew Munn says no. Breadlines? Breadlines are amazing because then we get bread. Do I mind doing a quick review on gold? Just missed the analysis? Sure, we'll go back over to gold spot and just break that down again real quick. So there's no action to be taken on gold spot today. Let me make sure that we have the 60 pulled up. Yep. So no action to be taken on gold spot today. Again, Minx, Parallax signaled for the long over here, as did the Breaking Bitcoin Initiator. Didn't get full confirmation from Wadatar until this day. And technically, by the books, in taking a look by the books, again, got the continuation long signal here. Didn't hit our stop loss. We just hit take profit one on the SWIC to the upside here on gold spot. So whether you were trading GLD or SGOL, you kind of got to look at your own market right now to whatever market that you're currently speculating on gold to see if that is activated for you. But looking at gold spot, since we have hit target 1, our stop loss should move to break even, so we would be flat on this trade. So the way the gold spot went down, this most recent trade on gold spot, is movement to the upside, back at stop loss at break even. So I would be exiting my gold trade. 50% of my position would have been pulled off at take profit 1, and I would be flat on gold right now, waiting for another signal to the upside. Looking at the weekly time frame, we don't have any such signals on gold. Looking at the weekly time frame, we are still in an active weekly time frame trade. Again, here was the initial signal right here on weekly gold from the breaking Bitcoin initiator, and then confirmation on this candle right here. Take profit long signal, it's about 5%. And then we get another continuation signal over here, hitting further targets as we move up over here. So still in an active weekly gold signal. No such signals. So yeah, one thing I did want to point out was I see a question there for bottom feeder. So no action to take on gold today, not on the daily time frame. Looking at 4-hour gold, see if I can find you something on the meso. I haven't actually looked at gold meso today. Yeah, see gold on the meso. Look at Wadatar explosion. This is largely telling you to be out of the market. Parallax is flipped bearish, and Minx is headed to the downside. Minx is still bullish. We're trading below the baseline. We're actually in a no trade zone here on gold. If we break down below 1664 on the 4-hour, that would be signaling for a potential short. Parallax is already confirming bearishness. We need to cross below the 0 line to confirm on Minx, and we need to get some volume and volatility. Yeah, so 4-hour gold is largely telling you to don't do anything right now. I think we'd be looking at a little bit of a retracement potentially. Crypto Rick says, "Hey Justin, is bottom feeder just for Bitcoin on the daily time frame?" So, you know, it is. It was designed for Bitcoin on the daily time frame. So to showcase that, by the way, oh yeah, I didn't announce that. I launched the Quadriga ATR updates for premium members yesterday, so that's all live. And I published the bottom feeder study and strategy, so you guys can backtest bottom feeder. So the cool thing about that is that you can actually see how bottom feeder does. Now, bottom feeder was designed for, of course, Bitcoin on the daily. So, excuse me. So let's look at Bitcoin on the daily, and we will load up bottom feeder right here. All right, so we can see, again, bottom feeder on the daily, 86.36% accuracy right here. Max, this is over 2 years, 5% drawdown, 86.55% net profit. Now, this is in conservative mode with only 30% of equity per trade, right? So it's a very conservative, consistently profitable machine that you run in tandem to your own trading strategy. Bottom feeder is not firing on today's daily candle, so there is no bottom feeder signal. We'll be watching and monitoring that closely. Now, as we can see, you can just test this. It doesn't work very well. It just depends on what market, right? So now that you have the strategy tester, people can just go back and back test this as you want. So again, if we look at Ethereum, it doesn't do very well on Ethereum. It just does not do very well on Ethereum. Now you can go in and adjust this. You can adjust a lot in conservative mode. You can adjust average, you can adjust true range length, true range smoothing, TP multiplier, and potentially you can find a profitable strategy that you can then adjust the study for and get the right results. Again, but what's interesting though is if we look at EOS USD, again, doesn't do very well on EOS USD. XRP USD, I think it does even worse. But what's interesting is if we start going over and looking at some of our tether pairs, what's cool about our tether pairs is that if we look here, we can find some profitable, not these so far. Again, pretty good on BCH calling the bottoms very well. That makes a lot of sense. Matic, again here, BNB USDT doing fantastic. Again, we've got a max over 2 years of 8.78% drawdown on BNB USDT on the daily time frame. 59 trades. It's right almost 78% of the time. 2.82 profit factor, 106% net profit, still better than most people. BTC USDD doing well. BTT USDT not too bad. Let's find another one. I know that Matic it does particularly well at. CTX USDT, it's called the bottom fantastically here. Civic, not too bad. Doge USDT doing very well. Accuracy of almost 79% with 10% drawdown. Again, adjust the position sizing, and I think you could get actual profitable system out of there. EOS USDT gives good signals. You need to adjust your stop and target. ETC USDT doesn't do too bad. Fun USDT It's almost right 78% of the time, 106% profit over the last 2 years, maximum of 7% drawdown. That's a fantastic strategy. And again, you can automate this. You can set the alerts. It doesn't work as well on all pairs. Here we see it's not too bad on IOST. Pretty good on key over here, 71.43% accurate. Less than 3% drawdown and 18% profit. So just something you can throw on. Link USDT, 80% accurate, 381% profit, a max of 18% drawdown. So that's a lot of drawdown, but not too bad over 2 years, about 9% drawdown per year. Matic absolutely crushes it on Matic. Buys the bottom every single time on Matic. Over 1,000% profit, less than 7% drawdown over a 2-year period. 87% accuracy. So again, you can just kind of run this through. MFT it does very well on. Nano, it does very well on. 32% profit, 13% drawdown. Not fantastic. Neo, it does really well on. Yeah, so obviously, the ones with more historical data, the older coins, it's going to perform better on. The newer coins, the younger coins that don't have a lot of data, you're going to want to, maybe try going down to lower times. Here's REN USDT, 87.5% accuracy, less than 4% drawdown over 2 years, 45% profit. RLC, less than 1% drawdown, 100% accurate. It's never had a bad signal on RLC. So again, this is just something Storm, it does very well on. So again, you guys can just run this down and test these different signals for yourself on the different timeframes that you want. And I'm just testing 2018 to 2020 here. So you guys can go back, go forward, run this live, whatever you want to do. So yeah, really cool. Obviously designed to work on BTC USD on the daily time frame. But of course, now that I've published a strategy tester, you guys can just test it. Remember, guys, though, that I see some talk about gold here. Gold is not a safe haven asset for deflationary events such as pandemics. Big Saintsy says, so cool that you released the strategy alongside. Do I plan to do the same thing with Minx? So yes, but here's the thing with Minx. Minx is an initiator, and its power comes from combining it with other indicators. So what you really want is a strategy of a strategy tester of a strategy that contains Minx as an initiator, which I am actually working on publishing this week. Minx Wadatar Parallax Baseline. I'll publish that strategy tester this week. $999 Mathis says, do I think it's a good time to invest? So in general, yes. I think that it's always a good time to invest. I think that because everybody is afraid to invest, it is a good time to begin dollar cost averaging. Again, if we're talking about, let me explain my bias in the way that I invest. Okay. On one hand, I have a dividend stock portfolio that I view as passive income, right? I consider those safe places to hold my money because I believe that the underlying companies are strong. And regardless of whatever recession or downside we go into, we can go back and look over the last 100 years. For many of these companies, they continue to pay dividends even in recessions. They grow their dividend even in recessions, and they are consistent, profitable companies. So I invest in blue chip stocks. I think that is a fantastic way to do, and I just invest consistently. Every month, dollar cost averaging helps ease out market volatility. You guys can go look. We've had massive things happen over the last 100 years, worse than the current. We've had the Spanish flu, we've had war, we've had, Iraq, we've had all kinds of things, nuclear threat, the Cold War, all of these things that really are a little bit more significant than what we're currently facing right now. Again, just as I said at the opening of the show, thank you so much, MT Coiner, for the $5, saying I have not been around as much as I'd like to, but drop in when I can. Thanks for always being there when I need to catch up. Much love, brother. Thank you so much, my friend. Hopefully you're staying safe up there in the frosty mountains where you should be. Listen, I think that although this will be an effect, this will have an effect on day-to-day life, I want individuals to be prepared. I think, again, I've recommended for at least a month now that individuals make sure that they have an emergency supply, not only of money, an emergency fund to last you 3 to 6 months in the case that you cannot go to work and you need to cover your bills. Self-quarantining is not a bad idea. Secondly, I think that individuals should have a surplus of food. I think that you want to have enough to get you through for at least 3 months. Dry rice, bags of rice, bags of lentils, very simple things. Go buy some ramen, go buy some canned meats. And if you're wrong, then you can eat your surplus of food over time. And if you're not wrong, well, and encourage your friends and family to do so as well. Don't be the only person on your block of friends and family that's the only person that stocks up on food. Encourage your friends and family to do so as well. Be that annoying person, right? Because if you stock up on food and you are right and your friends don't have food, they're going to come to your house and they're going to want your stuff, and you don't want to get in that situation. So, again, be safe, be prepared out there. But overall, be prepared and be prepared to survive. But the thing is this, guys, we're going to get past this. We're going to move on. Humanity continues to strive forward. The companies are not going to fall. The world is not going to crumble. The stock market is not going to go to zero. Bitcoin's not going to go to zero. We're going to be just fine. Buy the dip, long-term investing, long-term thinking, strong hands. Don't sell your Bitcoin. And, look forward, right? Again, all this, there's a lot of fear mongering out there, a lot of fear and panic, and you do not want to get caught into that. You want to be a long-term thinker. And some of these, we're seeing already some very valuable things become cheap. And what do you do when things are cheap? Well, you take, again, Warren Buffett, one of the best investors in the world, has been sitting in cash for over a year now. And why is he sitting in cash? Because he's waiting for the market to dip and he's going to buy and he's going to allocate himself, right? So follow suit. That's what the smartest people are doing. That's what I'm doing. Again, when it comes to when I say I'm sitting in cash, again, I'm short on the markets, SH, SDS. I don't have a position in SPXU, just SH and SDS. SH is a very large position. And when I feel that the market is sufficiently kind of bottomed out, I'll begin taking profits on my SH trade and buying into stocks, even commodities, things that I want to allocate, mostly real estate. I'll be looking for real estate opportunities, and I'll be looking for real estate opportunities, and I'll be looking for blue chip stocks to buy cheaply. Okay, that's what I'm going to do because that's my traditional markets portfolio, right? Again, in cryptocurrency, I'm well positioned in crypto. I have the Bitcoin that I want. I have the Ethereum that I want. I have the altcoin portfolios that I want. And again, just dollar cost averaging into those as well as price goes on. That's what I do for my long-term portfolio. I buy every Monday, right? Doesn't matter if the market's moving up. Doesn't matter if the market's moving down. Long-term thinking, long-term investing, long-term goals. That's what is the most consistent strategy. And then for my monthly income, I trade. I'm an active trader. So my trading portfolio is completely different from my investment portfolio, and I treat both differently and separately, right? I don't hedge my investment portfolio. I hedge my trading portfolio. Now, this is this is a situation where I actually have hedged my investment portfolio, not all of it, but a good portion of it, with a very large trade, which is SH and SDS, right? And then GRIP. So yeah, be prepared. You don't want to wait until, I've talked to so many people that are like, well, I'll just wait until it gets bad and then I'll go prepare. No, you've seen these videos online of people, having these, Thunderdome fights over toilet paper. You don't want to be in those situations. You don't want to be putting your family or yourself in those situations. So just go get prepared now. Just go buy a few excess supplies. If you're wrong, you'll consume it over time. And if you're right, you'll be happy that you were right. So, but again, positive thinking, long-term thinking, and view buying opportunities when others are afraid to look at buying opportunities, right? Okay. So with that being said, guys, thank you guys so much for joining me for another exciting episode of Breaking Bitcoin Market Analysis. My name is Justin Wise, lead analyst and senior mentor at CrackingCrypotcurrency.com. I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day. It is Monday, March 9th, 2020. The rain is coming down, and although the news is negative, the outlook on the horizon does begin to look beautiful when you really begin to look out long term. So believe, again, take everything that I say, run it through your own analysis. Do not look for confirmation bias, and look for the things that make you happy. Look for the things that make you positive. Again, a lot of volatility in the markets right now, guys. If you guys have not learned how to trade, this is the best time to do so. It can help you protect your finances. It can help you plan for the long term. It can help you be confident when others are fearful. Again, if you want some guidance and assistance on that route, check out everything that we do at premium.crackingcryptocurrency.com. There is a link down in the description also to our free Discord community, discord.crackingcryptocurrency.com. If you guys enjoy the content, if you guys enjoy the show, we are here every single day at 12 p.m. Central Standard Time to break down the markets. Also, make sure to follow us on Instagram and Twitter to stay up to date. We do publish exclusive content to those platforms every single day. We will be back tomorrow at 12 p.m. Central Standard Time to break down the markets, guide you guys through everything, go over our recent trades, and of course, we'll be publishing our market analysis in the group and putting on our trades every evening for the members as we do. Big things coming for the group this week. Excited to announce that later on. Again, we already published the bottom feeder, strategy and study, and updated Quadrigo ATR. So big things coming in the group, new premium videos, new courses, new indicators. So really excited to be working with the analyst team this week to roll all that out. But I look forward to seeing you guys next week. If you guys have any questions, comments, sarcastic remarks, or death threats, please leave them in the comments section down below here on YouTube, and I will try to respond, do my best to respond within the next 24 to 48 hours. You guys have been fantastic. Thank you so much. Long-term thinking, strong hands. 1 Bitcoin equals 1 Bitcoin. I will see you guys tomorrow at 12 p.m. Central Standard Time. Have a fantastic rest of your day.